Looking to explore the Bear Lake Road corridor on your trip to Rocky Mountain National Park, we're gonna go over everything you need to know and how to handle that reservation system. Hey there, I'm Alex from Alex on the Map, and I have been to over 30 national parks and including Rocky Mountain several times. It is such a beautiful park, and of course, one of the main attractions you're going to want to make sure you see is the Bear Lake Road corridor. However, this area can be a little tricky with the reservation system that they've had in place over the past few years, and you are contending with a lot of people whether the reservation system is in place or not. We're gonna talk a little bit how to navigate that, as well as the can't miss things you need to see while you are there. Quick tip before we get started though, I highly recommend that you choose a reservation time that is as early as possible if you are planning on visiting this area. Just because even with a reservation system in place, it can be so difficult to get parking, so the earlier you can get that time slot in, the better. Alright, we're gonna just go ahead and dive right into that reservation system info while it's on top of our mind. Over the past few years, Rocky Mountain National Park has had two reservation systems for its park. One includes the Bear Lake Road corridor and the rest of the park, and the other is the rest of the park excluding the Bear Lake Road corridor. That can give you an idea of how popular this area is because it kind of needs its own reservation system. These run from 5 a.m. until 6 p.m. in 2025. Of course, I'll be updating these guides as we go along, but this is what it's going to be for 2025. This reservation also allows you to see the rest of the park, so if you are only visiting for one day and you want to make sure to hit up the Bear Lake Road corridor and see Trail Ridge Road or some of the other things in the rest of the park, you can still do that. I really recommend you check out my whole video on Rocky Mountain National Park reservations because it's going to answer a lot more questions for you and give you a more comprehensive idea of how it works. So definitely check that out after watching this video. Alright, I'm going to show you a map of the Bear Lake Road corridor so you kind of get an idea of where the activities that you might want to check out are located. I also think the most helpful way to look at the Bear Lake Road corridor is to break it down by area. This can make planning a little bit easier if you are searching for certain trailheads for certain hikes you want to experience while you're there. I'm going to break those areas down so you know which hikes are located in which area. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about the park and ride shuttle and what you need to know about that. First, let's start with the Bear Lake area. This area tends to be the busiest just because a bunch of super popular hikes are located right at this trailhead. This means parking for this can be really difficult, and again, this is why I recommend you get in before that reservation is required at 5 or as early as possible for your time slot. I'm going to read out a list of hikes that you can find in the Bear Lake area and give you an idea about their difficulty too so you can plan appropriately. You can find the Bear Lake hike, which is 0.7 miles and is easy, Nymph Lake, which is 1 mile and easy, Dream Lake, which is 2 miles and moderate, and Emerald Lake, which is 3.2 miles and moderate. The Glacier Basin area is another part of that Bear Lake Road corridor, and keeping in mind that they also have an excellent campground here available for you. Another thing also to keep in mind is that if you have a campground booked within that area, you do not need a reservation for those days. If you are planning on spending some concentrated time in the Bear Lake Road corridor and want to camp, this is the perfect spot to do so. You also don't need to bring your car, you can just pop on the shuttle as you go, which also makes it super convenient getting in and out. There aren't a ton of hikes located here, just maybe connections to trailheads, but again, just know that this is a great spot for camping. Sprague Lake is really focused around one thing, which is Sprague Lake. But if you're looking for a nice, easy hike with your kids, or you just want to see a beautiful mountain lake without a ton of effort, then this is a great option for you. The Sprague Lake hike is 0.8 miles and easy. I also recommend this spot if you are looking for a little bit of a reprieve from the crowds, because it will be quieter for sure. Like Sprague Lake, the Bierstadt area is based around a singular lake. It's another stop on the park and ride shuttle, so if you're kind of just looking to get an overview, you can stop at Sprague Lake, stop here, do a little hike, get back on, and kind of just get an overview of the entire Bear Lake Road corridor. It's also a great option for beginning hikers or those with families and just who want to get outside and enjoy. The Bierstadt Lake hike is a little bit more difficult than Sprague Lake. It is 2.9 miles. I would still rate it as moderate. It's not too difficult, but it is a little bit more challenging. All right, we're gonna talk about the Glacier Gorge area, and personally this is my favorite area of the Bear Lake Road corridor, just because there are so many possible hikes that you can start from just at this trailhead. It's almost as busy as the Bear Lake area, but it is worth it in my opinion in order to check out the many different hikes that they have. Another thing to keep in mind too is that the Bear Lake area parking lot is a lot bigger than the Glacier Gorge area parking lot. And you can still access all the Glacier Gorge area trails from the Bear Lake parking lot. You can actually hike down from Bear Lake parking lot area to the Glacier Gorge parking lot area. This is also a stop on the Park and Ride shuttle, so keeping that in mind too if you want to just avoid parking altogether, which is a good call. All right, I'm gonna list out some of the hikes you can access from this area and their difficulty. Alberta Falls is 1.6 miles. I would rate it as easy. Mills Lake is 5.2 miles and it is considered moderate. The Loch is 4.4 miles and moderate. Lake Hayaha is 4 miles and moderate. And Sky Pond is 8.6 miles and hard. You're gonna wanna keep an eye on this channel too, because I'll be releasing more videos about each of these hikes that I've experienced in Rocky Mountain and providing guides for them as well. All right, let's dive into the Park and Ride shuttle and what you need to know. I definitely recommend that if you are up for it and if you can, you go ahead and take that shuttle. If you don't want to worry about the parking mess that is located in the Bear Lake Road corridor, then this is the best way to go about it. You do not need a reservation in order to ride the shuttle, which is absolutely great news, especially if you've been unable to get reservations. You can access this by getting on the hiker shuttle at the Estes Park Visitor Center, and then you're going to ride to the Beaver Meadows Visitor Center. From there, you're going to board the Park and Ride, get on, and it will take you to the various stops along the Bear Lake Road corridor. Again, this is why it's useful to kind of know the different areas within the Bear Lake Road corridor, because then you know where to get off for certain hikes. Are you struggling on planning your national park trip? Let's face it, between accommodations, figuring out the reservation system, and a lot more, it's just overwhelming planning your national park trip sometimes. This can cost you a lot of time and money just figuring out your itinerary. If you're looking for some help planning your trip, I offer a custom national park itinerary service that walks you through day by day what you need to know before you go. This itinerary will save you a lot of time and money and allows you to get to the park and actually enjoy your trip instead of worrying about all the details. I plan hundreds of national park trips for clients, which has helped them enjoy their whole experience a lot more. So what does one of these custom itineraries include? You can expect reservation information if needed, suggestions on where to stay, what to eat, and what to do, and tips and recommendations for your specific park. You'll love the itinerary I plan for you, or you get your money back. Here are some testimonials from some of my clients. Alex was very responsive to my request for assistance in planning our upcoming trip to Glacier National Park. We were unfamiliar with the park, and it was helpful to get specific recommendations of where to stay, eat, and what to do while we're out there to make the most of our vacation from Barbara. Alex was more than prompt in responding to my request for an itinerary. Her selections fit perfectly with the criteria I requested. She's been great about following up and making sure that our needs are met. From Samantha. If you're interested in this, I offer a 15-minute consultation call for free where you can tell me about your concerns for your national park trip, and I can give you more information on how I can help you. You can find that out in the description below and book your call there. Alright, I'm going to share some tips with you that I found helpful when visiting this area of Rocky Mountain National Park. If possible, I would recommend getting in before that 5 a.m. period where reservations are required after. I know we all want to sleep in, but it is just kind of worth it in order to get up at the crack of dawn in order to take on some of these hikes and get that parking spot. And again, you can avoid all this by taking the Park and Ride and the hiker shuttle. And although you don't need a reservation for it, you will need to get a ticket to get on the hiker shuttle, so that's another thing to keep in mind as well. You're also probably going to need to circle back for a parking space depending on what time of day day you're visiting and how packed the park is. I've gone around several times in the Bear Lake area parking lot just looking for a spot and it not working out for me. So you might also have to be willing to park in a turnout and hike to your hike. Another thing I'm going to say is maybe visiting during the off season is a good idea. And the off season in Rocky Mountain National Park isn't ideal because it is such a busy park. If you're visiting in May, there's likely to still be a ton of snow up in that area. And if you're visiting in October, which is when the reservation system ends at the very end, then you might be starting to receive snow. While I still recommend you can visit during the off season, it maybe isn't as ideal as some other parks where the off season is the best time to go. However, if you're into hiking in the snow, this is the perfect time to go. As mentioned earlier, be willing to walk. You might have to park at the Bear Lake area in order to get some of the hikes in Glacier Gorge and vice versa. Or you might have to look for a turnout a little farther down the road and then hike your way back up. Another thing I recommend you do if you are planning on hopping on the Park and Ride shuttle is to take a picture of the schedule in advance, because you don't want to be stuck in the park overnight just because you didn't know the schedule. It's not fun. That's not good. Alright, here are some common FAQs I get about the Bear Lake Road Corridor. Do I need reservations to visit the Bear Lake Road Corridor? And the answer is yes. If you are planning on visiting from May to October, then yes, you will need those reservations in hand if you plan on taking your own car into the park. Again, this runs from 5 a.m. in the morning until 6 p.m. at night. How do I get to the Bear Lake Road Corridor? From Estes, you're going to come in from the Beaver Meadows Visitor Center, just past there. And then you're going to make a left. There's a very prominent sign that lets you know, okay, this is where you turn for the Bear Lake Road Corridor. And of course, you can always put it into Google and Google will take you there too. When is the best time to visit the Bear Lake Road Corridor? Of course, the best time to visit is usually when the most people are there, during the summer months of July and August. However, I think fall is a fantastic time to visit too, and the foliage in Colorado during that time of year is just perfect. There are fewer crowds too, even though expect to see a lot of people no matter what time of year you visit, because it's just a very popular park. What are the best hikes in the Bear Lake Road Corridor? This is all up to what you're interested in and what you want to see. I will say that all the hikes within this area are usually based around a lake. Of course, there's the exception of Alberta Falls, but they're mostly lake-based. My personal favorite is Sky Pond. I find it incredibly beautiful, but it is a lot of effort and there is some tough scrambling at the end, so just keeping that in mind. For something easier, the Emerald Lake hike is super popular for a reason. You get these gorgeous, beautiful mountain views and an alpine lake without too much effort. Is there camping in the Bear Lake Road Corridor? Yes, as mentioned, the Glacier Basin Campground is one of the best places you can base yourself if you would like to camp in the park and you want to explore this area. You're going to want to make a reservation for this beforehand, and keep in mind that it fills up super quickly, so it may not be 100% doable for you. But if you can make a reservation here, then you're going to put yourself in a really central location in order to explore the park. I hope this has helped you learn a little bit more about the Bear Lake Road Corridor and how to navigate it. If you have any questions about this or Rocky Mountain National Park, feel free to let me know in the comments. And if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button and the bell notification before you leave, you'll get more videos on national parks and tips to help you plan your trip of a lifetime.